the woman who had enough and took matters into her own hands. Let me explain. Back in the 1990s, there was a woman who had reached her breaking point with her husband. One night she waited until he fell asleep, and then she did something that shocked the entire country. Her name was Lorna. At the time, she was 20 years old and going to college in Virginia. In 1988, she met a man named John Wayne Bobbitt. He was 22, serving in the Marines, and they quickly connected. Things moved fast. Within a year, they got married. Here's a photo from their wedding day. They look happy, at least on the surface. But that didn't last. Soon after tying the knot, trouble started. John Wayne was discharged from the military and had a hard time finding steady work. Lorna became the one covering the bills, which created a lot of pressure. The tension built up, and their arguments got worse. John also drank heavily. And about a month into the marriage, things took a turn. Lorna said he started physically hurting her. She said he would shove her, hit her, and it became a regular thing. The fights got so bad that police were called multiple times. Then Lorna became pregnant. But according to reports, John pressured her into ending the pregnancy because he didn't think she'd be a good mom. She went through with it, but afterwards, she deeply regretted the decision and resented him for it. By this point, their relationship was toxic. The situation dragged on for years, until Lorna was 24 and John was 26. They'd both had enough. Lorna was trying to get a protective order. John wanted a divorce. Their marriage was falling apart fast. And then things spiraled. One night in 1993, John had been out drinking. He came home extremely intoxicated and burst into the bedroom, where Lorna was already asleep. She woke up scared and shaken. According to reports, John forced himself on her. Afterward, he passed out on the bed. Lorna, overwhelmed and heartbroken, got out of bed and went to the kitchen to get some water. That's when she saw a large kitchen knife on the counter. In that moment, something in her snapped. She picked it up, walked back to the bedroom, pulled back the covers, and in a moment of distress, did something that would soon make national headlines. John was still passed out, completely unaware. He didn't even realize what had happened right away. Lorna, still holding the item in her hand, ran out of the apartment, got in her car, and drove off. As she was driving, she realized she couldn't even steer properly because she was still holding it. So she rolled down the window and threw it into a nearby field. Eventually, she drove to her boss's house. Her boss was also a friend, and Lorna showed up in a panic. The boss asked what had happened, and Lorna told her everything. That's when the police were called. Officers asked where she had thrown it, and then went to search for it. Around 4 a.m., a group of officers were out in the field with flashlights, combing the grass. Around 4:30, one of them accidentally stepped on something and found it. Now came the problem, what to put it in. They ended up going to a local 7-Eleven and placed it inside a hot dog box. Meanwhile, John had been taken to the hospital by a friend. He waited while officers brought in the item, and doctors took him into emergency surgery. Against all odds, they were able to reattach it, and yes, it reportedly still worked. Lorna was arrested. This story exploded in the media. It was in every newspaper and all over TV. Late-night talk shows made jokes. Comedy sketches were written. The whole thing became a massive spectacle. But the case was more complicated than most people realized. There were 2 separate charges. 1. John assaulted Lorna. 2. Lorna was accused of intentionally hurting him. Each one went to trial separately. John's case was first. He was charged with what had reportedly happened that night. During the trial, graphic evidence was presented to the jury. But this was the early 90s, and public views on relationships and marriage were very different. At the time, some people believed certain things between spouses didn't count as wrongdoing. In the end, the jury found John not guilty. Then came Lorna's trial. She was charged with causing serious harm. On the stand, she spoke about the years of abuse she had experienced. In the end, the jury also found her not guilty, this time by reason of temporary insanity. So neither of them served significant prison time. But the story didn't stop there. John started leaning into the attention. He reportedly tried starting a band called Severed Parts. Then he starred in an adult film titled John Wayne Bobbitt, Uncut. He even appeared on the Howard Stern show, where people raised money for him to get enhancement surgery. He went through with it, and later appeared in a second adult film with a name referencing his surgery. After that, things continued to spiral. He was later arrested for hurting a new fiancée. A few years later, he showed up on WWE's Monday Night Raw. Then he was arrested again, this time involving another partner. At some point, he had complications from the surgery and had to have it reversed. Lorna, on the other hand, chose a different path. She lived a quieter life and eventually started an organization to help others who had been through abusive relationships. She also appeared on TV to speak about her experience, now blonde and more composed. So yeah, one of the wildest stories of the 90s. A toxic marriage, a shocking act, and headlines that people still remember decades later.